do these emotions lead to disease? You see, fear, anxiety, these are emotional reactions. When you are chronically worrying, chronically afraid, chronically thinking that something bad is going to happen to you, when you are chronically unable to rule over your emotions, chronically unable to overcome your emotions, that is perceived medically and by God as emotional and mental stress and torture. The way God creates the body cannot tell the difference between emotional and mental stress and physical stress. When you're chronically worrying, afraid, the body shifts from homeostasis, where it's supposed to be normal. The body's chemistry shifts to what we call the sympathetic nervous system. Bear with me now, this is medicine. Bear with me, I'll keep it simple. Once your body shifts to that sympathetic nervous system, which is normally called the fight or flight mode, your body starts to chronically release high levels of what we call catecholamines, which are stress hormones like cortisol, adrenaline. You're familiar with that word, right? Medical research shows that when you are unable to control your emotions, use your emotions in a healthy way, and you're chronically worried, that mental and emotional stress on your body, I'm talking about 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, the body starts to release these high levels of stress hormones. And stress hormones uncontrolled in the body have been documented. We have a plethora of studies showing that high levels of stress hormones are toxic to the bodily organs and cells. High levels of stress hormone will damage the ability of the cells of the body to work functionally, properly. High levels of stress hormones will cause narrowing of the blood vessels. As a result, high blood pressure, you develop headaches, body aches, because there's poor perfusion, poor blood flow throughout the vessels of the body. High levels of stress hormones will suppress the immune system. Whew. And most importantly, as we're talking about emotional disorders, friend, there are 3 main neurotransmitters or hormones that God created the body with to regulate our mood. These are serotonin, dopamine, and norepinephrine. Unfortunately, you know what chronic stress, fear, worry, high levels of release of stress hormones will do? It will damage these neurotransmitters, these hormones' ability to regulate your mood. It damages the brain cells. Quick FYI, neurotransmitters by definition are chemicals that allow cell-to-cell communication in the body. Research has shown us that the mind and the body communicate to one another through neurotransmitters. And these 3 neurotransmitters I just mentioned, serotonin, dopamine, and norepinephrine, are the key ones that regulate your mood. But high levels of stress hormones will damage these neurotransmitters, and as a result, you will be depleted. You will have less available in the brain, and guess what happens? You develop depression, anxiety, because the brain cells won't be able to function properly. And then because you have deficiency of these neurotransmitters, you feel weak, you feel sad, you feel tired, your mind is clouded, you can't think properly. You see, many people like to say that I have a gene that causes depletion of neurotransmitters, but medical science says that your lifestyle, chronic stress, chronic worry, is what depletes those neurotransmitters and lead to depression and anxiety. When God tells us that we should rule over our emotions, when God tells us that we should not express these ungodly emotions chronically, when God tells us that we should express our emotions submissive to Him, do you think God was stupid? God knows that when we don't do that, our bodies will start to release high levels of stress hormones that will deplete neurotransmitters, and we will be depressed. I know some of you are thinking right now, well, if God is that good, how come he created us with these stress hormones that can damage the cells? Friend, let me answer that quickly. God is so good. These stress hormones are necessary in an acute short-term stressful event. That's why God created us with this in our bodies. For example, you're driving down the street and suddenly you see a young girl coming towards your car. Guess what happens? Your body will release the stress hormones, adrenaline. Whoosh, you're going to hit that brakes and you're going to stop. And then your heart rate will go up and then come down right away. In a normal functioning human body, that is how God designed the stress hormones to work, to help us be alert, to prepare for emergency. But then once the emergency passes, we go back to homeostasis. But the problem with people, we chronically worry. We are chronically afraid. We are chronically thinking about managing life, thinking we are kind of like a little Holy Spirit. And then we're chronically releasing the stress hormones that are toxic. So it's really our fault. It's not God's. But God says, rule over your emotions.